Welcome to the telecon of Cadila Healthcare Limited, which is scheduled to discuss the Zycovid vaccine, which has recently been granted the emergency use approval by DCGI. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on a touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vishal Gaur, Senior Vice President from Corporate Finance Team of Cadila Healthcare Limited. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Gaur.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Cadila Healthcare Limited teleconference to discuss on Zycovid vaccine, which has recently been granted the emergency use approval from DCGI. For today's call, we have Dr. Sharvil Patel, Managing Director of Zydus Cadila, and Mr. Alok Garg, Senior Vice President from MD's office. This call is only to discuss the Zycovid vaccine opportunity, and if you have any other questions on any other businesses, kindly reach out to us separately, and we shall be happy to address the same at the earliest. With that, I now hand over the call to Dr. Sharvil Patel.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Vishal, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you all are aware, on the 20th of August, we have received the emergency use authorization from the Drug Control General of India for our COVID-19 vaccine candidate, the Zycovid. With this approval, it has become the first ever plasmid DNA vaccine for human use approved anywhere in the world. The DNA plasmid platform, because of its rapid plug-and-play technology, can be easily adapted to deal with the new mutations in the viruses, which is a big concern with COVID-19. Also, being a plasmid DNA vaccine, the Zycovid doesn't have any problem associated with vector-based immunity. The phase 3 clinical trials were conducted in over 28,000 volunteers, including 1,400 subjects in the age group of 12 to 18 years of age. Hence, with this approval, besides the adult population, Zycovid has become the first approved vaccine for the adolescents in the age groups of 12 to 18 years in India. The vaccine has an excellent safety profile. No subjects had any serious or severe adverse events reported during the conduct of the study. None of the subjects discontinued the study due to the adverse events. In the interim analysis, no moderate cases of COVID-19 disease was observed in the vaccine arm post-administration of the third dose, suggesting 100% efficacy for the moderate disease, and no severe cases or deaths due to COVID-19 in the vaccine arm after the second dose of the vaccine have been reported. The results of the phase 1 part of the phase 1, phase 2 clinical trials have already been published in the eClinical Medical Journal of Lancet. Zycovid is now a 3-dose vaccine which will be administered first on day 0, day 28, and then day 56. The vaccine will be administered intradermally using the PharmaJet needle-free applicator known as Tropis, which ensures painless vaccine delivery. We also plan to seek an approval for a 2-dose regimen of the vaccine as well. The Zycovid is stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius but has shown stability at temperatures of 25 degrees Celsius for at least 3 months. The thermostability of the vaccine will help in easing transportation and storage of the vaccine and reduce any cold chain breakdown challenges, thus minimizing vaccine wastage. We have already begun stockpiling the vaccine, and we will be able to supply the vaccine starting from middle to end of September. We plan to manufacture 10 to 12 crore doses of the Zycovid annually from our new facility that we have built. Thank you, and now we move over to the coordinator for the Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Forum Parekh from Choice Institutional Broking. Please go ahead.
Congratulations on getting the approval for the first, DNA-based vaccine. I just wanted to know, like, what would be the price of the vaccine, and how much, do you expect it to, contribute to the EPS growth?
So I think today we don't have. Thank you for the acknowledgement. I think we don't have a clarity on pricing yet. As I have said in my earlier press briefing also, that we do believe that in this coming week we should see discussions with the government on the pricing and the quantity of dosage that will be procured. And once we are able to know all of that, we can come back to you with the pricing as to what it would be. So as of today, we are not able to talk about that. We have talked about what we'll be able to produce, which is about 1 crore doses monthly.
Okay, so out of this, could you just help us break, like, how much would you be supplying to the government and how much would it be to the private, hospitals?
So currently that is also unclear, because from the current original policy that the government has followed, they have looked at 75% for buying for the center and state, and then they have allocated 25% quantities for the private sector. So that's the current precedence that is there. So once we are clearer on that, we can also discuss that. But that is what currently the government has done for the 2 vaccines that have currently been approved.
Okay, so can we take the 75 to 25 ratio on a monthly basis also?
I don't have a clarity yet on that, but as I said, this is the current condition that the government has done for the last 2 vaccines.
Okay, no problem. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. One question was on. 1 second. Yeah, this is better now. So one question was on this adolescent version. So when you start supplying in mid-September to end September, how, let's say, initially itself you will start supplying for the adolescent piece? That's one question. And secondly, how the mix will change between the adults and the adolescent population? The context is I'm asking is, would it happen that if intuitively I think about parents would think that if the vaccine has been used in adults for some portion of time, then they would be more eager to get their kids vaccinated with this vaccine? Or you think right from the word go, adolescents will be a larger portion for you?
So intuitively and whatever we have currently understood, I believe the adolescent population will probably be the larger part of it. Because one is there is no vaccine approved today, and we know that there is a challenge in opening colleges and schools and other things. So there is a high probability that there will be a larger use for the adolescent population, knowing that there are no vaccines currently available. But obviously there will be some share of that which will be also made available for the adults also, because the choice is there for people to make. And we have also a lot of requests from there are a lot of people in the ages of 18 and above who also want to choose a vaccine that has been different from the current. Okay. And Sharvil, can you also talk about what is the data which SEC has asked on 2-dose, etc.? So what do you need to do incremental on 2-dose to get it approved? So that's clear. We don't have a clarity yet. We have submitted, as I said, 3 things. We submitted the 2 milligram 3-dose for both the adults and the adolescents, and then we submitted the 3 milligram 2-visit arm also. So they have finished the immunogenicity, and that was purely an immunogenicity work. So once we have that discussion, which we believe can be happening in this next 5 to 7 days or 8 days, then we can give more clarity as to what may be gaps or further required. I can at least definitely say that the immunogenicity work has shown that the vaccine has shown equal or better immunogenicity compared to immune response compared to the 3-dose arm. But do you get a feeling that you will have to do a full trial for that, or maybe just a small? No, it won't be a full trial for sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Charulata Gaidhani from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congrats on the approval. My question pertain to, you have a capacity of 1 crore per month. So if you could indicate the volume of doses in September and October onwards, or by what time could we reach 50-60% utilization?
So our endeavor is that from the month of October, we start delivering 1 crore doses in terms of drug substance and drug products. Obviously, it goes through the whole process of sterility testing and also the CDL testing, which itself, each of that constitutes 14 days. But our endeavor is that from the month of October, we start delivering 1 crore doses in terms of drug substance.
Okay. And in terms of profitability, if you could indicate some internal estimates, whether it will be better than the corporate level profitability?
So I don't think I will be able to talk about that, but definitely for the current financial year, this vaccine will become a significant part of the contribution for the company, both in terms of sales and also on the bottom line. Exact numbers only can be given once we are able to formulate the pricing and other things. But we do believe that from the October quarter onwards projection, we can see a 200 to 350 crore kind of a number, which can be scaled up to 500 crores per month. But I think more we'll get clarity once we are able to firm up the pricing and the logistics and the supply.
Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sarjeet Pal from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my questions. Congratulations for getting the approval. My first question is that what could be the total population of adolescent age between 12 to 17, which you are targeting currently?
So today, the current census talks about 40 crore population between the ages of 12 to 18.
Okay. And in terms of giving them or offering them, any government schemes are there, or it will be only through private?
So today, we know, right, as of the current vaccination program, which the government of India has taken up as the largest vaccination program, what they are giving vaccines free for at least the amount of vaccine doses they procure, and the rest is for private, and the private is a very small percentage of the overall vaccination. So I think it would not follow any different pattern than this, in my opinion.
My point is that currently what they are offering, that is mainly for adult population. So
but they will do the same. I think they will extend the same for the children. I don't think they would differentiate between adults and children.
Okay. As far as vial is concerned, out of one vial, how many doses you can offer?
10 doses.
10 doses. And do you think that the pricing will be at par with the double dose guys in terms of considering the 2 dose equivalent to your 3 dose? So the per dose will be equivalent to that level over a total cost?
We haven't had the discussion yet, and every vaccine is different, and ours is a 3 dose, so obviously it will be per dose will be the pricing and not absolute pricing.
Okay. The last question is that, see, by the time you will be coming out with your product, say for example September, October, there is a possibility that one of your peers will come out with a single dose regimen. There is a possibility, given the BCG what they are considering. Do you think your product will have attractiveness in that market too?
Yes, we from whatever we are currently aware of, we do believe that will happen. So we are very confident on the current opportunity size that we are talking about. I don't think it's a question of being able to sell, because even if the other dose, if I don't know what you are hinting to, but whatever vaccine gets available, even is assuming it's a single dose, there aren't going to be large quantities available if that is the case.
Okay, I'll get back to the queue, but I have a few more questions.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. And Shavil bhai, big congratulations on the approval. Just on pricing, I understand, like you said, the government pricing will be decided later or in consultation. But what about the private channels? You are free to set the prices over there. And what are you thinking on this?
So thank you, Samir. As the pricing is a composite pricing, right? It all depends on the procurement of quantities and the allocation of quantities between the buying of the center and the state. So the pricing will be a methodology of those two decisions, and that's how we'll get decided. So I think until that gets done, we have no clarity on the private market also. One thing consciously we have made a choice that we will definitely price it more economical in the private market, but we don't have a current pricing decided yet on that.
Okay, and I missed your comment on whether the pricing would be on the full regimen, which is for others 215 into 2 divided by 2, and yours would be X into 3 divided by.
To my best estimate, the pricing is decided by per dose. So somebody may be giving 1 dose, somebody may be giving 2 dose, somebody may be giving 3 dose, but the pricing that is today's format is per dose, and we believe that will be the same format that will be followed.
Okay, so it's independent of the regimen. That's what you're saying. It's on the dose.
Yeah, because every manufacturer, every vaccine is different, so you can't equate every vaccine as the same. So.
Okay, it's not the total cost of vaccination. Okay, okay, Shavil bhai, I get that. But now, just it's a very hypothetical question, but an important one, so I'll ask. Assuming the current government pricing, which is I think 215 for one and 225 for the other, if you're there somewhere close to those numbers, at that price point, how good are the margins? I mean, do you break even? Do you make some money? Any color on that?
So I think I'll answer that question I understand these questions are very important, and until the pricing gets done and the quantities. See, I think pricing is also a factor of quantity also, and the contracted quantities also. So I think it's very difficult to just answer it that way. But I can definitely say that from our point of view, with this approval for ZyCoV-D, this definitely becomes a very critical part of what we want to do on vaccines. We also believe that this is not something that's going to stay there for just a few months or a few quarters. We are, as we have already talked about it, we are upgrading the platform also to the new variant, and all of that work is also underway. So I believe this will definitely become a very sizable opportunity for the company for the coming financial years for sure, but also in the future also. And with respect to pricing and with respect to margins, definitely if the quantities, if all the quantities are picked up and we are able to scale it up further, this will definitely be a valuable product from the profitability point of view also. But the exact profitability, I will not be able to answer today. But from both the sales revenue point of view and obviously adding to the company's profitability, it will be important.
Okay, great. I've got one or two more, if I may. Sir,
yeah.
The other question I had is, what's the limiting point in your capacity? Is it the drug substance or is it the drug product? And I presume you are the only manufacturer for drug substance.
So currently, we are the only manufacturer for drug substance and drug product and device. So there are three factors that we have to solve for when we talk about increased capacity. As I said, once we get to the pricing decision, we will look at more CMO partners to produce more drug substance. I think currently we do believe we can still manage drug product on our own. But if we need to go outside, this is a simple liquid fill in a 2 ml vial, so it's not very complicated. So we can find enough capacity if we need to from outside, from the drug product point of view. On the device and applicator and all of that, we have scaled it up currently to up to 1 to 1.5 crore doses. And if we need to further scale it up, we will also have to do some further investment. So that decision, again, as I said, will take once we get the pricing clarity, because if we get a pricing that we can suitably give to a CMO partner in terms of pass on cost to them also, or margin to them also, then we will also have a few CMO partners established. We have already partnered with, already in final discussions with 2 of them. We're just waiting for pricing to be cleared.
Okay, great. And my final one, Shalbhai, is there are already 45 crore individuals who have got at least one shot, and I think we should be hitting 65 crores by October end. Individuals. So that's so. Therefore, do you see there's enough urban opportunity for your vaccine, or do you think we necessarily will have to go down to smaller towns and even villages to get the required volumes?
So I think it's an important question. Now there are two to three things that are happening, right? One aspect we have seen is that countries are talking about, with the current platforms, a booster dose, which is talking about that one needs to do a third dose, potentially because the antibodies wane away over a period of time. The second aspect of this is also that there have been studies now that are showing that mixing vaccines gives you higher antibody or better production of immunogenicity. And the third is that with related to all the vaccines, with the new Delta variant, we have seen that the efficacy for more mild cases is low, is not as good as it was for the Wuhan strain. So I think the upgradation for the platform, which we are also trying to do with using the new Delta variant as the new spike region, will also happen. So if you look at all of that, I think while what you say is right, but I think this is still going to be an evolving field, and I believe there will be enough opportunities created for better protection against COVID, which could include a booster dose, which could include mixing, or which could include a new a new Delta variant vaccine, which everybody is trying to develop, and we are also in advanced stages to do so. So I think putting all of those things together is still an evolving science, but I see still a good amount of opportunity to do so. Having said all of this, if you look at from my current capacity and expectation point of view, obviously we are nowhere near to what is the requirement. So I don't think those are immediate concerns for us in terms of finding a place to finding enough volunteers to administer this vaccine as of now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ketan Sangvi from Finito Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on getting the approval. I just had a couple of questions on the opportunity that exists outside India. So if you could just throw some light on, can we enter into some sort of manufacturing partnerships and licensing arrangements for sale outside India? And what would be the approval process for that thing? And the other question is, are we also looking at the opportunity within India for those LBROs? Thank you.
I maybe didn't get your last part, but if I got it right, for India, as I said, we have reached out to at least 3 CMOs who can potentially manufacture this vaccine. We've finished all our discussions. We are waiting for our pricing so that we understand what kind of cost expectations we can give to our CMO partner. So that's the first part. With respect to outside India, we have requests from a very large manufacturers who have large scale capacity, even a little bit larger than us, for the DNA plasmid platform, and they all have shown a very keen interest to partner this. What will be the regulatory pathway will be different for every country. I mean, for some of them, they do believe that after they do so, they will do local bridging studies where required. And maybe for some countries, there could be direct commercialization or drug product filling and commercialization. So I think that's still an evolving field, but currently we do have requests and we are in discussions with one or two, at least two large manufacturers for this platform. Also, I think what has been very heartening and important is there has been a lot of research happening on DNA plasmid and vaccines related to DNA plasmid technology. And with this being the first approved vaccine, now we have also a lot of requests from research companies and manufacturers who have been doing work on this and partnering to see how do we create the next platform or the next generation of the DNA plasmid vaccine. So I think a lot of good science and a lot of future development will happen in this field, and we are very excited that we may have the opportunity to participate in doing so and working with other manufacturers and other research firms to to really shore up the development of this platform and bring the next version of it, which could even be much better than what we are doing today.
So just to clarify, the government of India should not have any problems in you using capacity outside India for sale outside India, right? And that should not be a constraint, if I understand correct. I mean,
If we do a technology transfer outside of the country, there would not be any concern, I would assume.
Okay. And so the second question was more about the opportunity for below 12-year-olds in India, if we are pursuing.
So that study we are going to file in the next 7 days for doing the work for children below the ages of 12. And as soon as we file that and we get approval to conduct the study, I believe it will not be a very long study and we can do it very soon. But once we are updated with that in terms of starting the trial, we'll apprise everyone about it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can we move to the next question?
Yes, the next question is from the line of Surjit Pal from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Is there any data about this 40 crore population of, adolescent age in terms of income group household? How many of them belong to middle income group household and above?
I won't have that data on me at this present, but I'm sure there are certain data available, but I don't have it for right now to share.
Okay. And if everything goes fine, when do you expect this, 2 to 13 years, the below 12 years of age, when this could be approved? If everything goes fine as planned.
So I think it's very difficult to make that estimate, but I think if everything goes well, we can finish the trial in 3 months.
In 3 months. As far as production is concerned, I think you have certain inventory. What should be the quantification of that?
So currently our inventory is produced at a smaller scale at our current manufacturing site. The new site, as I said, is just got commissioned and started taking batches. So we would see the 1 crore doses coming out of that facility, which I believe will be fully scaled up by October. And that's what our current capacity is. And the existing plant will then be allocated to the other manufacturing because we had to stop other manufacturing to do this.
Okay. And when your third party will start manufacturing your products in India?
So I think if everything goes as per plan, then they can do so in 2 to 3 months.
Okay. So basically, actual state of selling the product in volume could be happen post October types, right?
Yeah, October onwards.
And your vaccine new plant utilization will be around 20-30%, this 1 crore of per month?
No, it will be 85-90%.
And is it possible that very first year itself you can reach to the 85% utilization in a plant?
Yeah, that is what our current plan is, to produce 18 to 20 batches a month.
Right.
The whole production cycle for this is a 4-day cycle and we have 2 streams. So that is what we have to do. In vaccine, you cannot produce at 20% capacity and do any justice to it. So all vaccine manufacturing is generally has to be having a utilization of at least about 75-80% for you to sell vaccines at this kind of pricing.
Okay. As far as since you have a technology partner, so the government has fixed 215 rupees for normal producers. So since you have a partner, so government is planning to give you extra for that partner because you have to share with your partner?
We still have to finish that dialogue with them, but we do have a partner for device also, whom we have to also share certain royalties with.
So that you expect that government will bear the cost along with the actual production cost?
So government will look at everything and give a total cost, right? So it's not the government is going to pay a third party for that.
Okay. Do you disclose that what should be the sharing in terms of with the partner?
No.
No. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harith Ahmed from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. So this interim efficacy of 66% that you have shared, will you be able to share the number of cases basis which we've arrived at this efficacy percentage? And
81.
same for the final analysis. How many cases will we have to hit to arrive at the to provide the final analysis?
Yeah. So the interim efficacy is on 81 subjects, and the final will be on 158.
Okay. And when you say the vaccine can be adapted to potential mutations, just trying to understand if the vaccine that we launch in the next month or so, will that be adapted for the Delta variant, or is that something which is work in progress and then will come at a later stage?
No, so the current vaccine and the current clinical trial that we have performed, as I had also spoken earlier, is that when we looked at our event data, which is the positive cases that we got to see, all positive cases were in the period of April, May, June, which is where 99% of all serosurveillance talked about the Delta variant. And when we did our own sequencing of all the positive majority of the positive cases, we saw that all of them were the Delta variant. So at least our current efficacy, which is around 66%, is probably a good reflection of the Delta variant. With respect to the upgradation, so recombinant platforms provide that particular capability because all you're doing is changing the spike region with a new sequence, and you're not making any changes to the construct, and nothing changes in terms of expression of the vaccine. So this can be done relatively much easier. So whether it's an mRNA or a DNA platform, this happens much easier because it's a recombinant platform. And that we are trying to finish the work, also doing the animal studies as we speak. And once all of that is clear, we will then build the pathway for how do we get an approval for the new strain. I think the same is also going to get done internationally also with the mRNA and other vaccines. So I think will be well established. There will be some established principles as to how that can be done. And as we are more clearer on that, we can apprise you all about it. But currently, we are in the development stage and starting animal studies. We already have started animal studies.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nilesh Mehta from Research Data Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and congratulations for the approval. I just had one question. Are we likely to go international? As in, are we trying for any international approval for the same or WHO approval for our vaccine? If yes, any timeline would be helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. So I think for international, as I said, we are discussing with a couple of manufacturers, large manufacturers with this. And that is the way potentially we can take it international, because with the current capacity, we don't think we have room to supply internationally. With respect to WHO, I think all of that work, as I said, will at least require another 4 to 6 months to go through. And then we can also look at the WHO approval. And we will also work actively with them to see what would be required. But internationally, that would be the right way, would be for us to find a manufacturing partner, and then the partner takes forward all the regulatory work.
So okay, so which are the markets you are likely to target other than a WHO approval?
So initially, we're looking at the Asian market and the Middle East, North African market.
Okay, understood. And you said that roughly about 4 to 5 months it will take for you to actually start the process of finding a partner in that. Is that what I understood is right? For India, we have already finalized. We obviously are looking at pricing to see what can be the commercial terms. For globally, yeah, what you said is right. We may need another 2 months or so to do so, 2 to 3 months. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vishal Manchanda from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead. Mr. Vishal Manchanda, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. Just wanted to check, is there a chance that the government may leave the distribution of vaccines in the adolescent population in the private markets, and they may not intervene in this segment? So hence that this is something you can cater on your own through the private markets.
So government can definitely decide that. I think we are very well geared to make sure that we can on our own cater to the private market. As I said, we have already completed the whole logistics, the whole supply chain, the whole front end supply to be made to different centers. We have already integrated with the CoWIN app for the vaccine. We have also finished all the work related to counterfeiting to make sure that no vials will be counterfeited, and we already have already ready in terms of our vaccine team to do the whole private rollout. So depending on what the government decides, we'll be able to do either way, which is a complete rollout by us or a partnership with the government. Having said so, I do believe that 12 to 18 is an integral part of the population that needs to get vaccinated, and I do believe that the government will be obviously keen to also be participating in the vaccination for that also.
Okay. And I think I missed your comment on WHO application for emergency use authorization. So can you do that now, or you would need more data?
And the follow up to finish, which almost takes 6 months. So I don't think we will see a full WHO application till at least the next 4 to 6 months. But we will start working with them to make sure we are preparing for that. But I don't think this is something that can happen in the immediate future.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Sharad, what are the private channels other than private hospitals?
So private hospitals obviously will form the larger part, then obviously institutions and colleges and others. I'm talking about the 12 to 18 years. And for the overall, it will be just the whole private market that, we are obviously a decent vaccine player. We reach our vaccines, at least 7-8 vaccines, which we commercialize ourselves, which are meant for both children and adults. We have the flu vaccine. So, as I said, the whole evolution of this will happen where booster dosing, two vaccines or different vaccines to be taken for better immunity, and all of that will be created. So I think it's a market formation that will happen, which will be there. But as I said, so it will be a mix of both. The hospitals, which will form the larger chunk of it. Then obviously institutions who are very keen to do so, including large private institutions. And then obviously some government state level strong interest also. So it depends what the center takes the call on. But obviously at the state level also there is a lot of keenness to vaccinate children.
And have you had any tie-ups or collaboration with any of these large partners on the private side?
Yeah, so we have had all the discussions. Everything is clear. We're just waiting for pricing and the quantity that we can supply to the private market. So once we're clear on that, we have already aligned the other aspects of it.
Okay, and I'm thinking if you think as things stand, you'd probably be not required to do a full-fledged trial for 2-dose regimen. Then it could be a short order of time, maybe maybe a few weeks when you get that approval. So why not wait for that before you get down to 3-dose, which is more more cumbersome?
No, so I don't think that will be only a few weeks, because if they ask us to do any even incrementally little work, we will need at least 45 to 60 days to do so. So let us know we'll figure that out. But currently, I think if we have to switch it later, we can definitely do it. But the change is not very drastic from the current vaccination point of view, because even at the 3-dose level, we're finishing the vaccination in less than 2 months, or in 2 months, around 2 months. So it's not a very long period of time that one needs to do this. So I think we should be still comfortable with this. And if once we're clearer on what will be the expectations to move to only a 2-visit regimen, then we'll see how we can do that. And even for children, we'll need to discuss and see if that will be an automatic approval. Again, we need to do repeat it for 2 doses for children also.
Okay, very clear. And Sharma, what will catalyze the demand for adolescents, in the sense, is it just a word of mouth because you have different channels, you push it through public, private, etc. Or what catalyzes demand? I mean, do you need to do marketing? Just your thoughts on this.
So definitely we have to do marketing. Definitely we have to reach out to pediatricians. Definitely we need to reach out to state governments who are tackling COVID on an active basis. But I think the way the whole evolution for COVID has happened is the state government and the center have been taking a far larger and active role in doing so. So I think that has been the current standard of how this vaccine rollouts have happened. So I don't know if it will change any drastically. But having said so, other than that, we have a full marketing and digital plan ready, which we are all ready to launch as soon as we get the clearance. So we have a large plan in our mind to see that if we have to go private also, what we can do. And we are very comfortable right now with the current understanding and assumptions. And we are seeing significant amount of demand from both, as I said, state institutions and others also. And as I said, for us, currently our quantities are only 1 crore doses, which are not very large in the overall expectation point of view.
Okay, no, Sharvil, not trying to be funny here, but it's a mass market product, even for adolescents. You said 40 crore people out there. I mean, putting a full page ad, cover page ad on leading newspaper, is that sort of a thing you need to do to make it, very well known across the length and breadth of the country? Or is it more specific?
So I think one must do everything that is required to make it aware, and we have a very, very large campaign plan for this. We have also been told that the government also has a large plan for this. So I think there will be a proper rollout on this. And as I said, I can tell you from my current understanding that today I am not currently seeing an issue of whether we can find at that many doses to be delivered. Today the question is whether we can produce to the requirement that we need to. So I do still believe that the requirement currently is far more than what we can make. So I think the problem is definitely there that we need to solve for the future, but not for the present.
Okay, excellent. Sounds very good. Just final one. What's the cycle time for a drug substance manufacturing?
So drug substance is about 4 days, a batch.
That's it. It's just 4 days for drug substance,
Yeah.
Okay, I thought your competing drugs are more like 80, 90 days or something like that.
So as I said, every technology is different. So the good part of the DNA platform technology is that for one batch to come out is a 4-day cycle. So we have 2 streams and we run 2 streams, and that's why we can run about 18 to 22 batches a month.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ranveer Singh from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question. Have you given any timeline when second dose vaccine-related data is to be submitted?
Sorry, for related to what data?
The two dose vaccine data.
So I think that discussion we are still going to have in this next 1 week, I hope, or less. And once we are clear on that, we'll come back with you with the clear timeline.
Okay. So I think a lot of discussions have already been done on it, on that 3 doses vaccine. But just trying to understand, your competing vaccines have a lesser, time duration and doses, obviously that 2 doses vaccine. So apart from marketing, what do you think will incentivize that adolescents or other population to, take this vaccine?
So it will be the safety data, it will be the efficacy data that has been put out, and obviously it is the compliance to deliver these doses which are painless, because we have an application which is not needle-free application, which means that most all the vaccines obviously today require an intramuscular injection. This is only an intradermal application. And as I said, I think the one part of the whole trial is that when we completed 28,000 volunteers, we did not have a single dropout because of the vaccination. So which also talks about the lower, very significantly good safety and low side effect profile of the vaccine, which will definitely motivate a lot of children to do so, a lot of parents do so. Also, since it's a needle-free application, there's a lot of phobia related to that, which will be taken away from because of this application. And the third thing is, if you look at the current market dynamics between the vaccines, while there may be a lot of vaccines available, there are only 2 vaccines available in any meaningful quantity, out of which probably 80-90% of supply is by Serum and rest is by one other company. If you look at the current vaccination timeline, you look at the point of view that today our vaccines, whether it is 3-dose, gets completed in 2 months, whereas the other vaccine, one of the vaccine, takes much longer for the completion. So I think competitively we are well placed, and I'm comfortable with where we are on this.
Okay. And second aspect is like cost-wise, because we have a 3 doses. So what is element we normally discuss with the government while fixing a prices? Because for 3 doses, obviously others have a 2 doses, so cost of production of a whole package would be lower for 2 doses vaccine. So can you give some a thought on it?
So ours is a 3-dose vaccine, and which puts in 6 milligrams of dose. So that's what we have. That's what we will discuss with the government.
Yeah. So for example, if somebody is taking 2 doses, for example, for 400 rupees or 500 rupees, so their cost of production of the whole package is also lower. You have a 3 doses, so the price is likely to be higher than the 2 doses vaccine. This is what I wanted to understand.
So I think currently the pricing is decided by per dose and not by the total cost of treatment. And we will be a 3-dose vaccine, so we believe the same principle will follow.
Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity, sir. Pardon me if I'm repeating the question, since I joined a little late. So what is the commercial arrangement with the PharmaJet?
So it's a partnership that we have done where they have committed to us the technology, the supply, and the know-how for the devices, and that's already well established. So that's our current partnership with them.
Okay. Any sense on the cost side or anything that you can share? Since it is a kind of a per vaccine cost, that a royalty or some fees that we need to pay, or how should we think this association?
There is definitely royalty also, and some other costs also, and they will be supplying us the device also, the main application, the pen device. So all of that has been entered into an agreement with.
Okay, but is it possible to have a sense, let's say whatever is the price for the vaccine, what portion of that would be relating to this?
Not yet. We don't have that clarity yet because we don't have a decision on pricing yet.
Okay. And secondly, I think you have obviously commented on your global aspirations for the vaccine, but since I think a few months that you have been indicating, or even in the recent calls that you had indicated that you have been working with global agencies for this vaccine. So what are the global agencies that you used to refer to while talking about it, and what is your progress on those front?
So we just obviously have got the first interim data which we have come out with now. For global, as I said, we have interest from 2 manufacturers who have the capability to produce DNA plasmid technology on a larger scale, and they have shown interest to be partnering for manufacturing of this vaccine, and that's the current discussions that are going on.
Okay. And just lastly, sir, is it fair to believe that the technology, the DNA platform technology is, or rather manufacturing under this technology platform, it is the cheapest one compared to all the competing vaccines?
No. It's not the cheapest. It depends on which technology and which scale it is at. So I don't think that is a very simple answer to say it's one or the either. But it is definitely a competitive technology, and it is a scalable also. We are trying to make sure it is scalable. And obviously, it has the benefit of plug and play, which means you can adapt fastly to the variations that happen to the mutants.
Okay. Well, because various scientific reports suggest that definitely it is more cost-effective compared to mRNA-based technology.
It is definitely more cost-effective than the mRNA, because the mRNA uses lipids to stabilize the program. So definitely that. But as I said, to mRNA, yes, there is benefit to it. But on a general basis, that cannot be the answer.
Okay. And even if you think about partnering with others, then what is the kind of relationship that you be? Means it will be the complete. It will just be the facility will be hired and everything will be done by yours. Or what could be the kind of a relationship that you would be having if you would be thinking about contract manufacturing?
So I think that's not. We are in the very early stages of discussion. We're looking at two options. One option is where we take the existing technology and produce it at larger scales with some of the manufacturers who have shown interest. The second is that there have been a lot of development going on the DNA platform. So we look at marrying some more scientific capabilities on the platform with some other companies who have done something different, and see if we can create even a superior platform than what has been created. So those are the two areas on which we are working with.
Okay. But with the success of the DNA platform that you have seen for your this COVID vaccine, are you thinking that this could be a kind of a same platform can be utilized for your some of other vaccine pipeline, and possibly this is the first stepping stone in establishing your vaccine business as a whole in the global market?
So definitely the whole way the recombinant platform was created in DNA, and if you look at early on papers from WHO, and even if you look at the FDA, they were talking about this technology to be used for the Generation X diseases and for terms of the new viruses that are out. And this definitely has a room to be applied for the flu vaccine, which is also multivariant vaccine with multiple variants that need to be manufactured. So there are definitely applications possible using this platform for some of the other vaccines also, and that also is something that we are discussing. Obviously, it's still too early, but definitely this platform will. I don't think we will limit it to just doing work for COVID, but it can be used for other coronaviruses and potentially the flu vaccine as an option. And also we look at some of the other diseases where we currently don't have a suitable vaccine for.
Sure, sir. Okay. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1 now. Reminder to the participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Vishal Gaur for closing comments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining this call. We shall keep you updated about any further development on this front. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Cadila Healthcare Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Playback is complete.